Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the daily update. Hope you guys had a good day trading today. Market is up about 0.7% on the S&P. I do think we did see the Russell 2000 leading the market again today with 2% gain there. Notably, energy is up about 5% today. Everything else is about around less than 1% all across the board. Let's stick with our 65-minute chart on the S&P here, Spider. So let's kind of follow up with what we've been talking about on the last night's update. So this is where actually the market closed. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is where market closed yesterday, right here, right? And we talked about how we want to see the buyers reclaiming my short-term moving average if they want to see a continuation to the upside. And we also talked about the Tweezer bottom, comparing it to this Tweezer bottom right here, right? That's a Tweezer bottom, that's Tweezer bottom. And we needed to see a follow through above that neckline there, above my short-term moving average, and stay above it in the first 2 hours. And I did that today. So you can see that's a 2 hours of price action today, and a lot has accomplished in that 2 hours, and all the battle was fought on that 2 hours. So you can see that was a neckline, right? After that Tweezer bottom reversal candlestick pattern there. And then we saw slightly gapping down at open, but you can see the price was elevated on the first hour, but it was quickly faded back down. And then on the second hour, you see that long lower wick here. That represents on the second hour, we continue lower. But what happened was, if I zoom in here, you see that short-term moving average that's coming down. So we closed just underneath it yesterday, but we closed the first hour this morning above my short-term moving average right there, right? So what needed to happen on the second hour, right? And you heard me saying this a lot in this inflection point. If you've been watching my videos this year or last year, in this inflection point, you want to see the price reclaiming the level. In this case is that neckline and the short-term moving average, and hold above that level on the second hour. So you can see on the second hour, we saw that weakness, but dip bar showed up and it brought up, and we end the second hour above my short-term moving average. And with that, my short-term moving average is no longer declining. It is now supporting the buyers, and the battle was won on the second hour as it closed second hour well above my short-term moving average. And then you can see now my short-term moving average is rising higher. We're now back to short-term bullish sentiment, right? So now you can see right here, and we have a pretty similar pattern going on. We got the Tweezer bottom, we have the Tweezer bottom, right? And then we hit that pivot there. We're kind of hitting that pivot right now and slowing down. Only question now is, are we going to see a retest of the short-term moving average like we saw it here back in, Christmas Eve, before this making a move? Or are we going to continue higher? So I want to continue to give benefit of the doubt to the buyers. And when I say I'm giving benefit of the doubt to the buyers, that does not mean it's going to go up tomorrow in the first 2 hours. It means if we do see a pullback in the short term, there's a good chance it is pulling back to cultivate that higher low before making higher high. And that's what I mean. And you guys understand this, right? Because I've been talking a lot about this last year. And so that's kind of what we're trying to figure it out, is that how this market is going to behave on that pivot right here. I think the best case scenario for the buyers, because this is the pivot, right? Basically the prior resistance, potential or prior support potentially acting as new resistance here, right? I think the best case scenario for the buyers will be gapping it up. A lot of times, this is what I like to call jumping over the fence. So a lot of times when there's a resistance that the price is met with, it closes the day right on it. And best case scenario, gapping it up is so they don't have to deal with that overhead supply. And then this thing could continue higher to the upside. If not, if we start to struggle here, not able to stay above in the first 2 hours tomorrow, there's a good chance this thing will come back down to retest my short-term moving average, right? And then to cultivate that higher low. So I think that's kind of what we're looking at here, right? So we did reclaim that short-term moving average. We made that advancement today, right up to that pivot, and how this market is going to behave right on that pivot tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning will be important, right? We see a gap up, stay above it, hold above 371.71. I think that market is going to continue to 375. If not, we start to fizzle, not able to get above it in the first hours, it's coming back down to retest that short-term moving average. So I want to give benefit of the doubt to the buyers in the short term now that we've able to get above my short-term moving average. And we'll see if the market wants to retest that short-term moving average as potentially as new support before making that higher low, right? Let's check out that oscillator here. So that oscillator, we did see that cross today. We talked about this yesterday because I think yesterday we were just about right here, right? This is where we were. We talked about yesterday, if the price continued to move higher today, you will see oscillator coming down, hitting that oversold level, and then crossing back up. And that has been that support area for the buyers when we do see some kind of a pullback there. So good news is that we crossed up and we are getting a lot of momentum here. And there's a lot of room to move. And historically, I mean, just last month or so, every time when this pattern occur, it's right here, it's right here, it's right here, it's right here, right on that pivot, right on that support zone, the oversold zone, right? It had a good track record of bringing the price up, right? We saw that cross. Essentially what happens is that oscillator gets back to the top of its band every single time in the last month or so. So I want to assume and that we have a good probability that this will gap back up to the top of its band, right? Looking at the data that is at hand today. You guys enjoy your evening and good luck trading tomorrow.